Telman, do you want me to stop sharing my screen? Maybe you're like,
Yes, we are sharing now.
but maybe you want to share yours. Just to
Yes,
support your, just to support
yes,
your speech, right? Okay. So.
yes. I also want to share my
Mhm,
screen.
mhm, mhm.
Is it visible now?
Yep, all good.
Okay. Let's start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to webinar AI Governance and Training for AI Management Specialists. As a cyber vision team, we are very happy to see specialists interested in AI governance here today. Cybervision is a 2 years old growing company in information security, consulting and auditing in Azerbaijan. We have a strong team with a deep expertise in the financial sector, especially. We help organizations manage information security at the strategic level and integrate the best technology solutions safely. Today, artificial intelligence is changing many parts of economy. Azerbaijan is moving toward to digital economy and becoming a regional technical hub. In 2026, we already have a clear legal path where AI strategy for 2025 and 2028 is now active. It focuses on 4 pillars: regulation, infrastructure, human capital, and economic value. In March 2026, Parliament already approved amendments to fight cyber threats. Now, creating AI-based deepfakes without consent can lead up to 7 years in prison. Also, all companies must label AI-generated content or they will face fines. For high-risk information like biometrics, data protection impact assessment is now mandatory to protect citizens of Azerbaijan. There are also positive trends. Now in Azerbaijan, the central bank has launched a regulatory sandbox, where fintech companies can safely test their AI products. We also have opportunities to work with AI standards based on international rules like ISO 42001 and European Union AI Act. However, unmanaged AI can bring huge risks. Without governance, organizations face deepfake fraud, data leaks, and algorithm bias. This is why AI governance is so valuable. It creates trust and practice for our digital economy and businesses. Training for AI management specialists is most important part of this journey. By training competent managers, we ensure that AI helps local businesses and government grow safely. And let's share this important part to our professional trainer, Kuzma Pashkov. He is a leading expert in cyber resilience for 20 years. He has a 20 years experience in designing security systems. Mr. Kuzma Pashkov, please.
Okay, now I'm ready to rock and roll. So, Telman, feel free to stop sharing your screen, right? And I'll share mine. So, first of all, welcome to this brief training session, people, right? Actually, I see some familiar names, basically, right? So that's pretty impressive. But still, my name is Kuzma, right? So I guess you've already noticed that, and I actually specialize in cyber resilience, and basically it means like a marriage between business continuity management and cybersecurity, right? And when I'm not participating in various audits and projects related to cyber resilience solutions, I switch to teaching. So I'm qualified and experienced in delivering a bunch of courses related to information security, business continuity systems, management systems, and various certification preparation boot camps. So basically, after 12 months, like high-level overview of this AI risks landscape of Azerbaijan, right? I have something to offer, right? So I have something to talk about, right? Because basically, when it comes to artificial intelligence, right? So there's a lot of hype on this topic nowadays, right? So we need to distinguish between things that really matter, right, and just a hype, right? So let's start with this list of topics, right? Because basically we need to stay on the same page when it comes to AI, right? Use a common terminology, right? Terminology and concepts that are being used by legislators. Like, so we'll talk about artificial intelligence terms and concepts, right? First, just to establish a common understanding of things. Then there is going to be a brief overview of AI legislation, right? So what's happening with the laws, with regulations worldwide when it comes to AI, right? And at some point, right, so you understand that nowadays, the very presence of AI management system conformant that conforms to international standard requirements becomes sort of mandatory, right? Right? And just by realizing this, just by comprehending this truth, right? So you understand that, yeah, you need a team. You need a strong team of professionals, right, so with proper competences in AI management, right? And I would say that we know how to train, how to acquire that competence, right? So how to train your teams. And basically, we've been doing that for 2 years in a row now, right? Mostly in the European Union, basically. But now, thanks to Cybervision, we can provide those services to customers in Azerbaijan, right? So that's the idea. So let's start small with so-called terms and concepts, right? Actually, if you are new to AI, and basically everyone here, right? So everyone nowadays is sort of new to AI, to artificial intelligence, because it's a new thing, right? It's known as disruptive technology, right? An example of disruptive technology, right? The best way to establish a common vocabulary in terms of AI terms and concepts is to use an international standard. There's a standard out there, ISO IC 22989, right? That actually provides all those definitions, right, for AI terms and concepts, right? So you don't have to guess, you don't have to, I don't know, improvise, right? So it's all readily available, right? So now I'm going to look at two interesting terms, the AI and AI system. You see these two close numbers like 3.1.3, 3.1.4. I'm just going to open the standard document. You see this ISO 22989. Scroll down a bit, right, to this clause number 3, terms and definitions. And just look at these two terms and their definitions. So starting with 3.1.3, artificial intelligence. AI means it's a field of study, right? AI is a discipline that research and develops mechanisms and applications of AI systems. Okay, distinct field of study, right? Distinct from information security, cyber security, business continuity, and all sorts of like studies that you're aware of. The next term is even more interesting. 3.1.4. You see, artificial intelligence system, or just AI system. AI system is an engineered system that generates outputs such as content, forecasts, recommendations, or decisions for a given set of human-defined objectives. Right? Note 1 says the engineered system can use various techniques and approaches related to artificial intelligence to develop a model to represent data, knowledge, processes, etc., which can be used to conduct tasks. Right? And Note 2 says AI systems are designed to operate with varying levels of automation. You know, just by looking at these terms and their definitions, you understand that so many things fall under this AI umbrella, right? Because nowadays AI is just an umbrella term. It encompasses various things, right? So that were not originally referred as AI related, right? Okay. Next fact that you need to be aware of: legislators across the globe, those who develop laws and regulations, they are using these exact definitions, right, from this exact standard, right? Whether you are operating in the European Union or in Azerbaijan or in Central Asia region or in China, right? The very definition of AI in general and AI system in particular, right, remains pretty generic, right? Okay. Another interesting fact about AI system: you know, AI system is still a computer system, right? Those of you who are experienced with IT technology, you know that AI systems are still software, hardware, black boxes, right? And again, to some degree, right, somewhere under the hood, you still recognize familiar like server hardware, networking hardware, like system software, right, databases and all that stuff. But of course, usually, right, what usually amazes us, right, is this new breed of AI systems that process vast amounts of data, known as big data, using machine learning algorithms, right? AI systems that are known to have so-called models, AI models, right, that are probabilistic in nature, right? And models that receive certain data on their inputs and generate certain outputs, right? And outputs are actually useful for us humans, right, to achieve our own like goals and objectives. Okay. So with that said, right, you might think of AI as a technology that is widely used already, right, throughout industries. I don't know, voice recognition, computer vision, right, predictive maintenance in various industries, right? I don't know, when you watch your Netflix, right, subscription, right, all sorts of recommendations you get, right, they are also, right, generated by AI. These represent AI generated outputs like recommendations. Or whenever you apply for a loan in some sort of a bank, right, this decision, right, so is usually made by an algorithm, right, by some sort of certain variation of AI system, right? So with that said, right, we can actually understand that AI brings a hell lot of value, right? But at the same time, right, so this value needs to be understood by business, right? And this value comes hand in hand with all sorts of risks. As any other disruptive technology, right, AI brings crazy number of risks, right? And the vast majority of those risks is known as emerging risks, right? So we don't really understand the nature of those risks yet, right? But still, right, to make sure that AI usage in your organization, right, so brings more value than risks, right? You have to assess those risks. You have to keep those risks within so-called acceptable minimums, right? Acceptable by your risk owners, right? This is especially important if your organizations, they operate in jurisdictions where legislators already enacted, right? Like strong regulations, like the European Union AI Act that says, you know what? It doesn't matter whether your organization uses AI or produces AI or just has something to do with AI, right? Basically, you have to categorize your AI system usage, right? Somehow using a predefined um, um, set of categories, right? And based on the actual category, right? There's a direct requirement, right? So to use AI ethically and responsibly. That's a very vague statement, right? So what does it really mean, right? So to use AI ethically and responsibly, right? It requires additional interpretations. But basically, right, if you do not use AI ethically and responsibly, right, it means that you are violating the law, right? You're going to be fined, you're going to be punished, right? And those of you who are experienced with data protection laws, right, in this sense, AI laws, they are very similar to data protection laws in the sense that it's really hard to comply with those laws, right? And if you violate those laws, the fines are huge, right? Like percentage of your company's yearly turnover, right? So that's what we have here in the European Union, right? That's why I've been delivering a series of courses, right, throughout European Union, right, to train those like professionals who are capable of establishing and maintaining a sophisticated AI management systems in their organizations, right, to achieve compliance with relevant laws and regulations. And of course, I would say that remaining jurisdictions are no exception, right? So basically, OECD member countries, their legislators, they are actively following the European Union in that sense, right? And basically, from what we learned from Telman's speech, right? So Azerbaijan is no exception. Your legislators, they are on the same path, right? Rather sooner than later, right? You're going to end up in the same situation. There's a law, it applies to us, right? So we have to comply, right? At least not to just to keep compliance risks within acceptable minimums. But what about the value, right? We want to use AI to automate various business processes, to resolve various business issues, right? In a way that can be understood by business people, not just by IT or technical people like IT, like information security. And we want to keep the risks of AI usage within acceptable minimums, right? Acceptable by appointed risk owners. So in that sense, I would claim that there's an interesting method, right, to achieve these goals. So this method looks like this. It says, you know what? You are all familiar with international standards, international open standards for so-called management systems, right? Management system standards, right? So allow you to manage various aspects of your organizations in a predictable, systemic manner while keeping the risks associated with certain aspects within acceptable limits. Information security risks, right? Business continuity risks, quality management risks, right? So you can assess and keep them within acceptable limits by implementing so-called management systems conformant to specific standards. So in that sense, ISO IC 42001 is no exception, right? We have a standard which is relatively new. It was published in 2023. So this standard lists the exact set of requirements that, if being fulfilled, right, basically makes your organization roughly 80% compliant with relevant AI legislations, right? Of course, the remaining 20% are guaranteed to be unique, right? The remaining 20% of compliance you achieve by analyzing the exact law, right? That is enforced in your jurisdiction, right? But still, the first 80%, right? So you can achieve just by establishing AI management system in your organization, right? And then probably maybe, right? So you might decide, your C-level executives might decide to certify your management system using independent third party, like an accredited certification body, right? It's just a way to show off, I would say, right? To show off, to tell your customers, to tell your partners that you're doing good, right? So here comes the question, Kuzma. So if this AI management system, right, conformant to ISO 42001 standard requirements is a thing that we actually need, right, to remain compliant, right, to make this AI use economically feasible, right, to keep the risks associated with AI system use within acceptable limits. So can you tell us what this management system actually is? For now, you're looking at an example from one of my classes, right? What is an AI management system, right? Just by reading these bullet points, you understand that AI management system serves as a risk, as a preventative tool, right? It allows you to prevent the majority of negative events related to AI system usage, right? So everything becomes kind of predictable, right? Everything becomes aligned with your business objectives. So the way AI is being used in your organization becomes aligned with business goals and objectives. So basically, AI management system helps your organization to achieve its business goals and objectives, right? By means of AI, okay? You have a structured framework, right? It also assists with compliance and regulation, right? And basically, right, so the very presence of AI management system, right, is like a foundation for what? For continuous improvement. So it means that over time, despite all sorts of changes that happen in corporate environment, right, so your situation is not getting worse than before, right? You have it like a reasonable assurance that it's gonna be better and better over time, right? Okay. So here comes the question: how can we develop, implement, maintain, and improve an AI management system conformant to these globally recognized standard requirements, right? Of course, it's a matter of people, process, and technologies, right? So that's why we tell you that, okay, we know how to train your team of professionals, team that would be tasked with developing, implementation, and maintenance and improvement of this system. And basically, right, so you might say, Kuzma, I don't know, I'm not sure, right? So Cybervision is cool, right? So these fellas are good, right? But, and Star Trainer, right? So it's just another company that operates in our region and it has like sort of good reputation, but still, right? We need a strong foundation for these claims, right? In that sense, just look at the lower right corner of this slide, right? Actually, we've partnered with the British Standards Institution. I guess everyone here, right, so recognizes this acronym. British Standards Institution represents an accredited certification body, right, with flawless reputation. So British Standards Institution, right, so gave us a permission, right, to deliver their classes, right, so related to information security, business continuity, and artificial intelligence management systems. So basically, it's like, hey, we have a set of best of breed training materials to work with, right? So we're using best of breed training materials based on real life certification audits conducted by the British Standards Institution, right? So we're going to use these materials to train your people. Think about study manuals, think about all sorts of activities, think about all sorts of like examples of documents, like templates that are going to be given to you, right? During this training, right? During these training sessions to actually deploy, to actually develop your own management system, not from the scratch, but like using these templates, right? You won't have to create them from the scratch. So that's the idea, right? And now I'm going to tell you, right? So about like the best way to train your team of professionals, right? The way that we're using here in the European Union and in various Middle Eastern countries, like Qatar, like Saudi Arabia, and so on and so forth. So first of all, everything starts with what? With the very understanding of AI concepts and terminology. So for example, right? So before you start, if you plan to control certain technology, you really need to understand its capabilities, its architecture, its inner logic, right? So for that case, we have a special course that lasts for 1 day, 8 hours, right? And again, this course is offered by BSI, right? And with this course, right, so we actually explain the architecture of modern AI systems, right? Focusing on a variation of AI systems that brings the most value nowadays, right? Think about so-called machine learning based AI systems, right? That are all about processing vast amounts of data, that are all about training so-called AI models, models that are probabilistic in nature, that generate all sorts of outputs known as predictions, right? I'm not talking about just ChatGPT or Perplexity AI or something like this, right? So here we are going to cover everything, right, at once, not just large language models, okay? Just to understand, right, the technology that we're going to use ethically and responsibly. And actually, the very detailed interpretations of ethical AI use and responsible AI use, right, are going to be given to those who attend this particular course, okay? Later on, you'll be able to download my slide deck and just carefully read the text in those slides, right? So just to see the actual course outlines, okay? Now, after covering this first part, after getting this proper understanding of AI systems and their ethical and responsible usage, you are ready to proceed with the next class, right? Next class is all about this one is all about this, right? Is all about understanding the requirements of ISO IC 42000 standard, right? We have like a good list of requirements in this standard. Requirements that, if being met by your organization, if being fulfilled somehow, ensure ethical and responsible use of AI. And again, basically, it means that you need to spend another day of intense training, right? Right, for that purpose, because otherwise, without proper understanding of AI management system requirements, you have no chance to fulfill those requirements, okay? Second day of intense training, right? And again, later on, you'll be able to see the actual contents of this course, right? Now, assuming that you've managed to comprehend the requirements of ISO IC 42001 standard, right? You might say, okay, what's next, right? You know, the standard requires something, right? So like what must be achieved, but standard never explains how you're going to achieve those goals, those requirements, right? So that's why there's going to be a third class in this sequence of classes that would say, okay, I'm a member of AI management team of my organization, right? I need to learn how to fulfill those requirements, right? So what exact groups of processes must be established, must be formalized, described in details, and what exactly, and the execution is expected to be put on paper, right? Right? Because basically every management system, right, is just a group of processes, group of activities, like never-ending activities, right? That must be formalized, right? This formalized description must be put on paper and performed as written, exactly as written, right? With no deviations. So for that case, we have another 2 days of intense training, right? For so-called AI management system implementers, right? I'm a member of this team, right? So I must be ready to implement, to participate in teams activities related to management system development, implementation, maintenance, and improvement. Okay. Next, you should say, okay, Kuzma, what's next? Then, in addition to implementer's role, there's another role which is mandatory with every management system, especially when it comes to AI. That's the role of internal auditor. Those of you who are experienced with management systems, standards-based management systems like ISO 27001, ISO 22301, etc., or 9001, you know that internal audits, right? So are mandatory with every management system standard. So in that sense, ISO 42001 is no exception. So another 2 days of intense training, right, for so-called internal auditors, because you actually need them, right, to audit your management system and verify its effectiveness, basically, right, on a regular basis, right? So it means that we have what? 1, 2, 2, like 6 days of intense training from start to finish, right? To prepare, like to acquire the set of competences, like knowledge and skills and practical skills to apply that knowledge, right? To absolutely required to develop, implement, and maintain an artificial intelligence management system, right? Conformant to ISO IC 42001 standard requirements, right? And I would say that with every course in this 6 days long program, right, you would get what? Study guide, right, in electronic format, right, protected from illegal distribution. You'll get a so-called toolkit, a set of document templates, right, as the cornerstone for your own AI management system, right? Don't forget about practice activities, right? So with every course, we just don't deal with theory only, right? We complement theory discussions with real life, like with all sorts of practical activities that are as close to real life situations as possible, right? So, for example, in implementers class, right? So we are going to play a role of a team member, right? So that works for a particular organization, like fictitious organization, and these fictitious organizations, C-level executives, they decide to establish this AI management system. So we'll deal with all sorts of organizational documents, right? So we'll develop documents that are absolutely required. We perform all sorts of tasks related to management system development and implementation, right? And it's all based on the British Standards Institution's experience. These fellas, right, this accredited certification body, right, so uses real life documents from real life audits, right, to prepare their training materials. That's why I love BSI, basically, right? And these training materials are as close to what is actually required to be developed, right, as possible. Okay? Plus, of course, you get certificate of course attendance, right? Plus, every course is accompanied with what? With online examination. Because basically, right, if you just train your team without challenging team members, it's not gonna be good, right? So it's like, come on, right? So that's a good challenge. Take and pass this exam, right? Okay, just verify your knowledge, verify your skills, prove that you are worthy, right? Basically, right? So online examination is included as well, right? And basically, if course participant actually manages to take and pass this exam, right? So you're awarded with another certificate, like a certificate of ISO IC 42001 internal auditor, or certificate of ISO IC 42001 implementer, right? Right? That's cool. What's even more important to understand, right, is the fact that actually BSI classes, BSI training is sort of expensive. It's really expensive, right? If it's being delivered for customers that belong to developed countries. For example, here in European Union, when I deliver BSI courses, right, so it usually means that a customer has to pay close to 1,000 euros per day per participant, right? So it's like, oh my God. So it's so expensive, right? But we managed to negotiate a noticeable, like major discount for developing countries, such as Kazakhstan, such as Azerbaijan, right? So discount is noticeable, right? So with this discount, right? So BSI training becomes economically feasible and affordable, right? In Azerbaijan. So keep that in mind. So it's a good idea to contact Cybervision, right? So you see this email address, right? And just request a quote. So, hey, Cybervision team, right? So we're considering our options, right? Maybe we have a couple of guys or girls, beautiful ladies, right, to participate in upcoming 6 days long training, right? That is scheduled to run in July, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? So just request a quote, right? And see if it fits your like specific needs, okay? And then depending on depending on your activity, basically, we might deliver this course in person, right? From time to time, I visit Baku, right? Because I have a number of projects like ongoing in your country, right? And the best way to learn something new is to learn from human being, right? In person, right? Although live online format is also supported as well, right? As using Zoom platform or Teams or whatever. Okay, so keep that in mind. So if let me check. Yeah, I still have some time left. All right. So if you're happy with this offering, right? So it's a good idea to visit these websites. So first of all, it's a good idea to visit bsigroup.com website, right? Just to explore the full list of training offerings, right? So provided by the British Standards Institution itself, right? So look at this. Artificial intelligence training courses. For now, I've just briefly listed a subset of courses related to AI management systems. right? Concepts, requirements, internal auditor, implementer. But in addition to these 4 classes, right? So there's a number of courses related to team leaders, right? Look at this. Lead implementer course that lasts for 5 days, 40 hours, or a lead auditor training course that lasts for 5 days, 40 hours again, right? So you might consider attending those courses as well, right? But still, for now it's too early to talk about lead auditors and lead implementers training. Then it's a good idea to visit cybervision.az website just to explore the expertise of cybervision team in enterprise governance that focuses on IT, information security, and business continuity governance aspects, right? And then probably maybe you might decide to visit the startrainer.asia website, right? Because actually, right, so this partnership between StarTrainer and Cybervision, right, and BSI kind of amazes me, right? And I don't know, if you're a fan of cybersecurity and business continuity management, you might find something interesting, some exclusive training offerings, right? So in the region, like ISACA courses or Disaster Recovery Institute classes, right? Or IC Square classes, right? So if you know, you know, right? But still, here's a list of contacts. It's totally fine to contact us directly. And of course, in my case, I'm ready to answer your like detailed questions related to course content. So Kuzma, we need you to provide some clarifications, right? What exact activities are out there in every course, right? What exact document templates are going to be provided, right? So we need to know some details just to verify that we are going to get like best of breed training materials on the market, right? If you want to verify our authorization related to authorization from BSI, just contact Allah, right? And for course organization, right, and schedule, right, you may contact Telman, right? I guess. So I guess that's all I wanted to tell you during this brief session. If you have any questions, right, so feel free to contact me directly or feel free to join our 2 communities, right? So we have one community, right? So of AI learners that is based on WhatsApp Messenger, right? And there's another community, right, that focuses on cyber resilience related topics, right? So that is based on Telegram. You'll get those links as part of this slide deck, right? So this slide deck is going to be shared with you all, right, later on. All right, so feel free to join those communities and, I don't know, post your questions or concerns, right, related to cyber resilience or AI, right? And usually you'll get like informative, like useful answers most of the time. So with that said,
Can I ask first question?
Yeah, Telman, yeah, come on, please go on.
Kuzma, how much students do you have from Azerbaijan and how they shown their performance on the exams or courses?
That's an interesting question, right? So when it comes to AI management system classes, I never had a chance to deliver those classes to Azerbaijani audience. But like my previous experience delivering different courses, like on business continuity management, on data protection solutions, right? So tell me that your audience, like audience in Azerbaijan, is pretty demanding, I would say, right? So you're doing good, but you ask questions, right? So and you actually pass those exams on first attempt, right? So everyone who attended my courses in Baku, like last year, right? So managed to pass online examination on first attempt. I'm talking about those who attended my business continuity management classes, right? Again, provided by the British Standards Institution. So in that sense, I have no concerns regarding regarding your your people's performance, right? So you're doing good, at least for my taste.
If you have many students from Azerbaijan, maybe you have some community based on the interesting careers or progressing improvements. Maybe they have feedbacks for you after exams, how they negotiating with you.
So first of all, Telman, you know that it's okay to contact your tutor, right? So after the course finishes, in a week, in a month, or even a year, when you have something, when you have a question, right, related to course topics, right? So this is my like personal commitment, right, of sort. And these two communities, they exist for this exact reason. These communities exist for my students, basically, right? So
Great.
with cyber resilience community, I mostly focus on ex-Soviet Union region, right? So and Russian-speaking audience. And with this WhatsApp-based community, right? So I mostly focus on my English-speaking audience. And I'm thinking about adding the third community for French-speaking fellows, right? But it's coming, right? It's still in process. Okay. Okay. So um, if you still have questions, right? I still have like 10, close to 10 minutes left, right?
Let's discuss about process of preparing to exam after the course itself, and what is your main advice to the exam preparation from our Azerbaijani students? What is the best practices from you?
So first of all, as I've already told you, right? So I really love training materials like provided by the British Standards Institution because these training materials are known to be like best of breed training materials. Everything is covered, right? So whatever is needed to pass the exam and subsequently perform your job duties, right, is covered in your by your study manual, by your study guide, and practical activities throughout the training session. So basically, if you participate in this training session from start to finish, right? If you reread the study guide from start to finish and all the additional reference materials, right? So basically, it means that you're guaranteed to pass this exam for sure, right? So there's nothing on your exam outside of your training that wasn't covered during your training session. It's all there. That's what I love, right? With BSI. And when it comes to the real life implementation of of management system, in that sense, I would say that the actual toolkit, the collection of management system toolkit, the collection of document templates, right? Think about an example of artificial intelligence policy, the example of risk management process, risk registry, and so on and so forth. So this set of document templates, like calculation tables, and so on and so forth, really helps in real life implementations of those systems, right? So I guess that's gonna be it, right? That's all I have to say about getting prepared to pass this exam on first attempt, right?
Thank you for information. I have another question, and
Hmm?
how can you evaluate the difficulty of the exam of BSI for ISO 42001, and if you can compare it with ISO 27001 and other standards, and how the difficulty
No,
change
the difficulty level, the difficulty or complexity level is the
complexity.
same among all of these, across all of these management system standards. But if you ask me about comparing the exam the exams provided by BSI with exams provided by other accredited certification bodies like TUV, TAF, right, or PECB. You probably heard about these
Yeah.
acronyms, right? So they are roughly the same, right? But what I really like with BSI exams, right? So on BSI exams, only a smaller portion of exam questions is represented by multiple choice questions format, like a test, right? The core questions on your exam, they are using open format. So you have this question stem, like a body of question, and then just a empty field, right? To type in your answers, right?
Amazing.
You do not select from one of the answers that are predefined. No. You have an empty field and state your answer in your own language, right? Right, in your own words, basically. We're talking about English language exams, but still, right? State your answer in your own words, right? And then your answers are going to be verified by tutor like me, right? Like a
That
real human
means,
being.
yeah, that means we should know English very well.
Not
And
necessarily Telman. No. I know that in Azerbaijan, at least, like those who are relatively young, right? So mm, you are pretty good at speaking English language, but you don't have to have, I don't know, like C1 or even B2 level, right, of English level proficiency. You need to be able to read and interpret English language text, right, in your study manual, right? You're expected to be capable of formulating like questions or opinions in English language. I don't require you to use complex sentences, right? So nothing like that, right?
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Can we compare the education of ISO standards and these kind of legislations and new laws in AI governance with European in the subject of educational process? Maybe the European businesses or government specialists educating and learning your courses with groups or individual uh, s- uh,
So, starting 2024, so I've just started to deliver these courses in January, right? Like more than 2 years ago, and I since then I observed this steadily increasing demand, right, for ISO 42001 implementer internal auditors training, right? So, and I would say that I've managed to train more than close to 70 participants, and the majority of those participants came from various consulting firms, like Ernst& Young, for example, and larger financial institutions throughout European Union, right? And it's just increasing and increasing, like over and over again, because again, as I've already told you, right, you get with AI management system conformant to ISO 42001, you get roughly 80% compliance with any feasible like AI legislation. Okay, including but not limited to, I don't know, the European Union AI Act, like the first 80% of compliance. That's what you get right out of the box. But remaining 20%, right? So you have to figure out yourself, right? It depends.
Sounds
Right?
great. Sounds great. Thank you very much. We are gonna out of time.
Yeah,
Already
yeah, yeah.
3
I have
p.m.
some. Mhm.
Thank you very much for the very valuable information. We will go on with the trainings and we will discuss in the next webinar the details, maybe the training processes in the deep dive style or manner. Thank you very much.
Yep, yep, yep. Until we meet again.
Yes. Thank you very much for participants. Thank you for your time. Let's do it next time. Bye.